guys I have. I promote 2 events here in Massachusetts, which, you know, obviously I grew up here. I'm in Vegas now, but, you know, it's really cool to come back and see a lot of the guys, you know, that obviously followed my career. I grew up in Worcester, so for me it's pretty cool to be back where I grew up and everything, and be able to promote events here and see guys following in my footsteps, because obviously I never, like I said, thought I would get to the level that I'm at now, and it's been a great career for me, but nothing gives me more satisfaction now than actually to give back to what, you know, kind of made me. And I was in, every one of you guys, I was in the same position at one point. You know, I never competed. I was nervous to compete. So getting up on stage, it takes a lot of courage to do that, but your preparation has to be A+, and that's what obviously we're here to try to do today, and show you a few of the poses. And obviously I mentioned practicing the poses. That's super, super important, you guys. I mean, you can sit there and practice like with your clothes on and whatever else, but you know, you have to put on the trunks, and as your physique starts to change, as you diet down for the competition, that's when you're actually going to see the most results. So you want to see how your body looks, and you want to have, like Steve said, someone critique you and say, okay, you're hitting the poses right or not, opening up your lats. I mean, that's the most important thing, especially the backside poses, because you have to remember, you're going to walk out there, and you cannot prepare yourself enough for what it's going to feel like getting out on stage. Like, even in the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm going to be okay, and then as soon as I started walking out, I'm like, oh shit, I'm like nervous, you know. So, and you do different things sometimes, so your presentation has to be somewhat important, and you know, you have to be comfortable in your trunks and stand in front of people. That's the most important thing. I mean, I used to pose for my family, for my mom, for everyone. I used to like stand in the living room and pose, so I actually got used to people looking at me that way. So mandatory poses, obviously. So I walk out, you know, these girls are talking about they have to walk out and they do their thing, whatever. With the guys, I mean, you want to walk out like confident, but you know, not totally cocky. I mean, the most important thing, like for the guys, you want to look presentable at all times. So you come out from the back curtain, you want to keep everything tight, especially your stomach. A lot of guys have like stomach problems where they eat so much food. Obviously, when you carve up for a show, which some of you guys won't experience until you actually do it for the first time, you eat a lot of food. I mean, whoever's competed, you know, right? You eat a lot of food carving up, right? So, and you're not drinking a lot of water, so that food doesn't digest as normal as some. So sometimes the stomach can get a little distension, but. So you walk out from the curtain, you want to make sure, you know, you keep everything tight. You know, obviously, you know, smile a little bit. You know, don't walk out there like, you know, just with your head down. You know, you want to walk out there confident and just, you know, smile. Obviously, the crowd's going to cheer a little bit. You walk out there, you know, you get into the line. You know, you want to stand, you want to present yourself chest up, okay, tense everything. That's what you really have to practice the most, is tensing everything. Okay, and they're gonna put you through your quarter turns, and you're always going to turn to your right side. It's quarter turn to your right. Okay, so they're going to say quarter turn to the right. You're going to be in the line of guys, you know. They're going to put you guys out in the middle of the stage, and they're going to call you the quarter turn. So, you know, you want to transition. You don't just want to do this, you know, and you want to try to, like, you know, keep yourself tense, you know, chest up, your legs flared, okay? Quarter turn to the right. So you want to transition, and you want to show your side. You don't want to be like, you want to squeeze everything, okay, but you want to be more relaxed, like almost like the girls do, whatever, but you know, you want to just relax. You want to keep this shoulder, you want to bring it a little bit, not like this, but you want to show, because it shows more taper that way with the waist and everything, okay? Legs tight, you know, glute, everything. Remember, everything has to be tight, okay? Quarter turn, you're going to turn to the back curtain. Most important, chest up, okay? Flare the lats, okay? Legs are tight, glutes are tight, okay? And quarter turn, same thing. Eyes always looking straight. You don't look out. Okay, you don't want to look at the audience, you know. When you're on the side, you want to stand like this, okay? And then quarter turn to the front, okay? Then they're going to call up poses. So your quarter turns, I practice those all by themselves, okay? So I'll go through, and what I usually do when I practice, I do 10 seconds. So what I'll do is I'll stand for 10 seconds like this, everything tensed. This conditions you. This is going to help you get conditioned for the show. Okay, then your quarter turn, hold 10 seconds. Okay, just like this. Okay, then you same thing. Practice squeezing everything. You know, your glutes is super important. You know, everyone knows, you know, you don't want to have a big fat ass up there. So that's what your cardio is going to bring and all that stuff, okay? So your quarter turns is just 4 basic quarters. Front, side, back, side, front, okay? Always to the right. always to your right. You're going to still see the pros. They quarter turn to the right. These guys still go to the left. Okay, so remember, it's always your right you're turning. First pose, always front double bicep. Okay, everyone's going to have a different stance for front double. Okay, some guys are going to hit it just like this. They're going to squeeze. Okay, they're going to squeeze their legs. They're going to hit it like this. I tend to actually spike a leg out. Sometimes I'm a little wider waisted than a lot of guys. Obviously, you know, I'm a bigger bodybuilder, so my waist has always been wider. So what I learned for my physique is you want to create that X look. Okay, so you want to have the lats and you want to have the legs. Okay, the waist always wants to be the smallest point. So what I learned for me is I actually spike, and it actually brings up more cuts, and I do a front double bicep, and it gives me more of an X frame. Okay, so front double bicep. Okay, lats out. You know, you're gonna compare, but keep everything tight. Okay, front double. Okay, then they're gonna say side chest. Okay, so however you want to do it, you want to show, like, sometimes like I'll show my abs first. You know, you want to be you don't want to wait though. You want to make sure that you get into your pose. Don't turn and just get right into it. You know, you want to kind of watch the other guys, because there's going to be guys you're competing against that are going to hit the poses. You know, some guys take longer, and the pros, these guys, a Kai Green takes almost 5 minutes to get into a pose. So you'll see, if you go and watch some of Jay Cutler video, I'll stand there like this, like, and I wait for these guys, because they have to do their whole, they got to show everything else but their side chest. So, very important, okay, you want to show your hamstring. Okay, what we try to do, okay, what you want to do when you practice this, you want to tuck this leg, okay, you tuck the inside of this leg against this knee, and what that's going to do, with a little bend, it's going to help drop that hamstring down. Okay, this is something you can work on if you know anyone that can coach you on the posing, whatever. Very important, because it's called a side chest, but they're looking at all the body. They're looking at, you know, the legs, everything. So drop that hamstring down. Okay, no stomach. You want to keep everything tight. Okay, side chest, everything. You want to squeeze not only here. You want to squeeze this chest, shoulder, everything. Okay, side chest. Okay, you don't want to be down like this. You don't want to be up like this. You want to come across, blow it out. So you tight here, leg, everything. Okay, side chest. Okay.
When you do that side chest, how you hold your wrist, do you have a preference in like your wrist or your leg?
Everyone does it different. Most people hold their wrist. Okay, most people hold their wrist. You know, anyone has any questions you want to ask about positions, don't be afraid to ask questions, guys. That's why I'm here. There's no stupid questions, okay? So please ask questions if you guys have a. Stop me, ask me questions, okay? So side chest, okay, we got that, okay?
On side chest, Jay?
Yeah.
Is it okay to get down lower?
You can get down low, but you don't want to be like down here. You know, it's good to, if you want to drop and show your hamstring condition real low, but you don't want to be like the lowest guy on the stage. Like, I mean, you'll notice some of the pros, even the pros, some drop lower than others, but just make sure, you know, you want to stand tall, but most important, this is what they're really going to look at in the waist. You don't want the belly to be hanging out around, you know. Front lat spread, okay? Same thing, legs tight, okay? Usually, guys put their hands like in this area. Usually I put it like on my obliques, okay? What I try to do is I put a little bend to the legs, because when you bend the legs a little bit, not only do the cuts come up, but it's going to give more flair to the quads, okay? So instead of just locking your legs out and hitting it, a little bend is going to help, okay? And then you pop the chest up. Okay, pretty simple. What they're looking at here, obviously condition through here, the lats, the shoulders, all that stuff, okay? Always one of my strong poses because I'm wide. So, but the legs you have to focus on, once you get into this position and you squeeze, and you're squeezing your chest, everything, make sure, legs. You gotta make sure those legs are squeezed, okay?
When you're doing the lats, should you worry more about the lats, or should you try to show your abs at the same time? I know it's a hard thing to do both.
It's when you're going to be back like this, obviously the ab shot, you're crunched, right? when you're actually back like this, you're not going to be able to really squeeze your abs, but the condition's going to show, obviously, how lean you get. So that's why I preach condition, guys. Your condition, your water dryness has to be on point. They're going to look at, obviously, the lats, but they're going to look at everything else, too. Because all this stuff gets striated when you hit that pose. All the shoulders, all that stuff, okay? And the legs is important. You can't have smooth legs and do this. Okay, anyone of you guys know that competes.
Just something I noticed through the years that I've been competing is that a lot of people, when they do a front lat spread, they actually don't tense the glutes. And when you actually do in the front pose, and you have legs set, and actually when you sit down just a little bit, and you actually tighten the glutes, it'll actually pull the sweep out, because the glutes are pulling in like this, and it'll actually pull this out. So a lot of people, when they do the lat spread, you know, they're sitting down, but they're not keeping this tight, even though like you can't see it from, like, you don't think the judges can see it. Like when you're there posing, the judges can tell whether or not you're keeping that tight, because it will make a difference in the sweep.
That's why the practice with the posing is super, super important. Is squeezing everything, tensing everything. Okay, guys. So that's, you know, it's great to have you know, try different things, and that's why it's good to have someone kind of coach you through your posing, even if they don't necessarily know. They say this is what looks best in pictures and video, which is great nowadays. I mean, back when I started training, we didn't have much video cameras, you know, to really film this stuff. So everyone has it on their phones nowadays. Okay. Okay. So we did front lat spread, front double bicep, side chest. Okay. We're gonna do back double bicep. Okay. So back double bicep. Okay. Same thing. Everything's squeezed. Okay. And what you're gonna do is you set the spike one leg back, shoulder calf. Okay. And what I tend to do is I tend to like lock down a little bit so you can get all through the glutes and everything like that, okay? Some people like to show like their condition in the back, like what they call the Christmas tree. So you know, you're gonna show your leanness back there. So almost do like a low row, and you come back and you squeeze, okay? And then you're gonna wanna spread your lats. So what you wanna do is, same thing like the front lat spread, you here, and you pull the lats out, but make sure you keep the chest up. You don't wanna roll over like this, okay? You wanna show your lats at the best. So lean back and pop the chest up, okay? And that's going to give you a good flare to your lats, okay? And you're going to hold that position. Like this, that's your lat spread, okay? And then rear double bicep, same thing. What I'll usually do is I'll like kind of loosen up a little bit before we hit that. Same thing, spike it back. And it doesn't matter if it's right or left calf. Some guys like different. Just make sure this is all squeezed, okay? Rear double bicep, spread it out, okay? So just, same thing, there's a lat spread, turn it out, but you want to spread it. You don't want to be like this and pull the lats and not pop them out. You want to make sure you squeeze them, okay? That's your rear double bicep. That's going to show all the condition in the back. Okay, that's probably the hardest to practice because you can't see your back. Obviously, working in a mirror, you're only seeing stuff in the front. So I built a posing room in my house early in my career, and I had like a mirror on the edge of the wall so I could see my lats and everything, so I could learn how to actually flare that stuff out. But when I talked about practicing the posing, I usually use a mirror and I practice, you know, every day, like 30 minutes. But what I do is when I get into the poses, I watch myself, and then what I'll do is I'll close my eyes so I kind of get a feel and learn the body position, and then I open my eyes, I say, okay, that looks right. So I'll use the mirror, then I'll start closing my eyes, then I take the mirror away eventually, and then land, of course, to the contest. Because on that stage, you know, you're not going to have the mirrors, you're not going to have that stuff. You're going to be under the lights, it's going to be hot, you start posing it, you start sweating, you know. So, side tricep. Same thing as the side chest, okay? Same thing, tucked leg, okay? Tight everywhere, okay? You're going to grab your tricep like this. What I like to do is I like to press, obviously, my tricep against, I have a big lat, so I push it against there, okay? That flares up the tricep, okay? Lock it down, abs, okay? So lock down. Abs is very, very important because that's going to create that whole pose, okay? With the hamstring, tricep, all that stuff, okay? And like I said, you can show stuff if you want to do this before, or something to show the tricep, but just make sure everything else stays tight. Okay? And then of course, abs and thighs, you know, you want to show the thigh. Okay, so however you want to do it. I mean, everyone knows I'd like to do the quad stomp because I got the shredded leg here, so I do this, and then of course hands overhead, blow it out, okay? And you know, you can show this. I remember, this is for fun too, guys, so you can show different poses. If you have like crazy obliques, which some of you guys are going to have, some aren't, you want to show all that stuff first before you get into the pose. You're going to have time to do that, but don't waste time. You know, if you want to show it quick, then get into the pose, okay? Really flex that leg, keep everything tight, abs. Okay, and then the pose that they added after, I mean, when I started bodybuilding, they didn't have this pose. Most muscular pose, which is, you know, more of the fun pose. Obviously, this is the last pose, but some guys hit it with the clenched fist and they hit this shot, okay, with the abs, everything, legs, or some guys do the most muscular like this and they, okay. And then when you relax, remember, between poses, they're going to say, okay, gentlemen, relax. You want to finish the pose and stand tight all the time. In the big classes, they're going to say, okay, step back into line. They're going to put you guys out before they do the call outs. You're going to stand on the side. Don't stand there and just like, you want to stand tall, like you're being judged at all times. The judges' eyes are always on you, especially if you look good. So what they'll do is when they do bring you out for prejudging, they're going to bring all the guys out, they're going to line them on the stage, and then they're going to call you out by your number. And they're going to say, okay, number 6, number 10, whatever, and they're going to compare like 3 to 5 guys at once. And then they're going to put you back into line while they compare the rest of the guys if you have a big class. So you have to stand there and look presentable at all times. Okay, very professional. That's the way you're going to get noticed. You guys, I know everyone's dream is to, get sponsors, get free supplements, all that stuff. Presentation is everything at these shows. You want to come out there, you want to look your best. I mean, we can the girls talk about hairstyle, makeup, all this. We don't have to do all that crap, but the tan is so important, you guys. You guys got to do the tan right. Don't come up there all muddy. I mean, they have sprayers at all our events. And, you can basically, you can get tan, I think it's like $50 or I don't know how much it costs to get sprayed that day of. I mean, they have tans that work the day of, but body has to be shaved like 2 weeks before. I used to start shaving so you don't get, rash or whatever else. I like to shave. I honestly shave pretty much year round so my body stays. But everything has to be shaved, and that was the weirdest part about when I first competed too. I'm like, shit, I have to shave like my armpits, everything, So you have to be shaven up. Start doing that. You're thinking about doing the May show. Start thinking about doing that now. Start shaving the body down so you don't get the razor burn. Who has questions for me?
What do you do as far as pumping up backstage? Some people say just chest buys and shoulders. Some people do more. Some people say it takes away from back if you do too much.
You don't want to get too pumped up because obviously it's like when you do legs. Your legs get full and they lose their cuts. You don't want to get crazy pumped up. So you just want to get enough to get the blood going and get the veins popping and get warmed up and stretch. You want most of the time it's just flexibility because you really want to get in those poses. But remember, practicing your posing backstage in front of the mirrors that we have. That will allow you guys to, get a pump also.
So with that pumping up, do you think it's more important in the morning pre-judging or at night?
In the pre-judging, because that's where the show is judged. The night show is going to be more for fun, and if it's really close, like between a couple guys, they may change their decision. But most of the time, guys, you go to the pre-judging in the morning, it's finished. They already decided who wins the show. So you just got to make sure you're on time. You're backstage, you listen to, for your numbers and everything else. So many times, even the pros, these guys, they go somewhere and they miss their call and they're done. You train that long for a show, just make sure you're ready and bring your food with you backstage, all that stuff. Make sure, because you don't know, sometimes the show, you get there and there's 300 people competing in the show. We don't know how big the shows are going to be because we get a lot of signups the day of the show. You can sign up online prior to the event, but that day you can sign up and pay for the NPC card and the entry fee and all that stuff.
Any suggestions on how many categories you should do? Should you stick to 1 or 2? Or?
A good question. I was going to actually talk about that. So a lot of first-time guys competing, you can compete in the novice class, obviously. If you never won a contest before, novice, you know, you can compete in novice division, but you can also go in the open. Even the teenagers, if you're a great teenager and you want to get into the men's division, you're more than welcome to do that. You just have to pay the extra entry fee. If you feel you want to compete in multiple categories, as long, you know, you have to stay within bodybuilding, I believe. I don't know what they're doing with physique now, or whatever. So many shows I go to, I see physique guys, and they should be in bodybuilding because it's still undetermined, really. The criteria, like they think, okay, well, I'm lean, but I'm not super big. A lot of times, a smaller, lean guy will win over a bigger guy. Just so you guys know. I mean, I got beat early in my career because I wasn't conditioned enough. I always got beat by smaller guys, and I remember my family would be like, "Jay, you're way bigger than that guy. Why'd you lose?" And it's the condition. You know, the guy was in better shape. So, you know, make sure that's why the condition's good. But you can do multiple categories. It's just going to cost you more out of your pocket. And first time competing, I know how expensive it can be. I mean, between the food and, you know, the tanning and getting ready, it's expensive, man. I struggled so bad in my early career. I mean, it was very, very difficult. I was working a security job. I was making like $5 an hour. I'd make like a $150 paycheck a week. My girlfriend at the time, I mean, she worked. She helped me buy my food. My parents helped me a little bit. And, you know, I never thought the end would come where I'd actually be able to make money from it and everything. And, you know, it slowly started to come. And I got sponsorship and you know, supplements were like non-existent back then. I couldn't even afford to buy a jug of protein back then. I remember I saved up $50 for my first jug of protein. I drank it all in one day thinking I was going to So I can tell stories all day long and you guys will say, shit, man, that's just like I am right now, you know. But, I mean, I spent $100,000 a year on food, easy. I mean, the money I spend, I won Olympia, you know, 200, 250 or whatever it is. I spent all of that to get ready for the show in 1 year, for sure, just to put back, you know, my training and massages and all the food intake. And I mean, I still have to buy some supplements. I don't get everything for free, but my house is like GNC, man. I show up, boxes show up at my house every day, like clothes. And my friends come over and raid my cabinets, you know. But remember, food is, I mean, food is going to get you to the top. You know, your diet has to be, I talk about the amounts of food. You know, I like to diet on fish for competitions. Off season, I eat steak like 4 times a day right now, trying to get, you know, I'm coming back for the Olympia this year, which, you know, I had an injury in 11. I lost the Olympia, and of course, I sat out last year for the first time in 10 years. And now I'm back training, and, you know, I'm going to make a run at it in September. So a lot of you guys seen the hype out there, but I'm, you know, doing all my training in LA and Vegas, and I've been traveling a real lot. Just launched a supplement brand at the Arnold last weekend. So I'm super, super busy, but at the same time, I'm getting back to the roots of training, and I'm going to try to stir things up a little bit at this coming Olympia. So I lost about 50 pounds when I had the bicep injury. I didn't train for about 4 or 5 months, and I lost a lot of weight, but I've gained back pretty much most of it now.
Yeah, you're still bigger than everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I say. I like to say I'm still bigger than everybody else.
At 250.
So, but people saw me and they're like, wow, you're really small. And I mean, I was 255, 260, you know. So it just goes to show, I mean, what people used to see. I mean, I'm a 300-pound off-season bodybuilder, but it's not always about the weight, guys, you know. I mean, that's the thing is I always wanted to be, I said I wanted to be 240 when I was younger. Then I got to 240 and I said I want to be 250. And then, of course, I got 250 and I want to be 260. And it stopped at like 300 pounds. So it's a sickness. I mean, you end up, to be competitive. I mean, I was competing against Ronnie Coleman and, you know, it was just crazy. I mean, I never thought in a million years. These are guys I looked up to all those when I was teenagers. Ronnie Coleman was already a pro competing, and I was a teenager like, man, that guy's huge. And next thing you know, years later, I'm standing next to him, competing with him, and then beating him, you know. So, but it goes by very quickly. I turned 39 not too long ago, which I never thought I'd be 39 years old. I started training on my 18th birthday. I joined the gym in Worcester, and I had a dream to be a bodybuilder. And I never imagined. I mean, I just feel sometimes. I mean, I love telling this story because, like, I used to scrounge up magazines. I couldn't afford a $5 magazine to pick. I couldn't go to the store and buy it. I couldn't afford to spend that extra money, so I would scrounge up magazines at the gym. And at the time, we didn't have internet, all that stuff. So I'd have to wait every month to pick up the magazines. And you know, Ron will tell you because his boss used to call me. I mean, his guy used to have a show called American Muscle on ESPN. Was it ESPN2? Used to run.
It was ESPN.
ESPN.
Yeah.
And he was looking for up and coming talent. And I remember they started calling me when I was like 19 years old and saying, we hear you got big legs, and we want to feature you on the show. And Ron was working for him at the time, and I sent in pictures. I was pretty big then, though, right?
Yeah, you were a big friggin' teenager.
Yeah. So then he coached me to do the teen nationals. I competed against Branch Warren. I lost to him in the overall because he was more ripped. I was just big, and that was it. From that on, I just wanted to be a bodybuilder.